we want to move on to different ways of measuring dispersion. That's actually the critical topic here in this part of the chunk. How do we measure dispersion? How do we put a number on how spread out that data is? That's what we want to do, okay? It turns out that how we can measure dispersion, just like our measures of central tendency, depends on the level of measurement of the data or the variable that we're working with. And so depending on what kind of data we have, we can use different kinds of measures of dispersion. Let's talk about what I think is the simplest notion for representing dispersion, and then we'll decide what level of measurement it goes with, okay? And that's something that we call the range, right? The range, and it's just what it sounds like. It tells you how far the data reaches. What's the range? From the top to the bottom, okay? A lot of times when we have a range, it's just the difference between the highest number and the lowest number. So if we have ages and our highest number is 85 and our lowest number is 5, our lowest age is 5, well then the range is 80. 80 minus 5, the range is 80. Whereas another kind of data might not have such a big range. It might not be as dispersed, and it might be, the range might be 20 to 27, in which case the range is only 7. And so that's one way of representing dispersion. So it tells us how far it reaches. Well, if you think about that for a second, though, you'll realize that that's a very, very simple notion, and it really doesn't tell us too much. It only tells us about 2 cases, really. It tells us about our lowest case, and it tells us about our highest case. But it doesn't tell us anything about what's going on in between age 5 and age 95. Do we have a lot of people in their 70s and in their 60s, or do we have a lot of teenagers, or is everybody clustered in the middle, or are they on 2 ends but there's nobody in the middle? It just doesn't tell us anything except the 2 cases on either end. And that's not very helpful. It's a little bit helpful, but it doesn't tell us much about what we want to know. What level of measurement do I need in order to use the range? Think about that for a second. And the answer is, the way of calculating is to subtract the lowest number from the highest number. And to subtract, what level of measurement do I need? I need the interval. Interval or ratio, interval or better. Okay, so that's what I need to use the range. Now there's a sort of a way of using ordinal, using range with the ordinal level of measurement. If you think about something that's ordinal, I don't know, maybe you have, your scale is excellent, very good, good, fair, poor, very poor, okay? So that's an ordinal level. We don't know that the distance between good and very good is the same as the distance between fair and poor. So it's just an ordinal scale. And so we could still kind of use the range here. We wouldn't subtract, but we would just say the range of this data is from excellent to fair. Maybe we didn't have anybody in poor or very poor. So we could say that's the range. Or maybe with a different set of data, we might go from excellent all the way to very poor. So we have the whole range of possible options. So that's one way that you can sort of map the ordinal level variable onto the range. Okay. All right. So that's it for the first one. We're going to stop there and just take a little break, and then we're going to go on to another couple of different ways of measuring dispersion.